Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Thursday, October 27th, 2022. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, David Hopkins. This evening we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBT+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ+ community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine, and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 37 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Well, let's begin by welcoming anchor Nik Nak London. Nik Nak's a music artist known for his popular song, Can't Take Me. He's the MC on Friday nights at the Escape Lounge nightclub. He's a legend in ballroom and a cast member from the YouTube series The Come Up Miami. Welcome, Nik Nak.
Thank you. Now let's welcome anchor AJ Stone. AJ is a foodie, comedy writer, and social media slut, and the co-founder of bearslooking.com. He may be big and burly, but don't be fooled. He's a softie and a goody two-shoes. Find him online at Bear with AJ. Good evening, AJ.
Thanks so much. Be sure to follow me for updates on the Bears Looking app launch, for the events that we're going to be hosting here in South Florida, and a lot of sexy pictures that are too hot for the news. Let's welcome anchor Jamaal L. Starks. Jamaal L. Starks is a rare Miami native, also known affectionately as Porcelain. As a spiritual wellness consultant, he is an active member of the yogi community through the first and only Queer Yoga Club Miami. He is positioned as the Vice President of Impulse Chapter Miami, a member of the ballroom community through the House of Gorgeous Gucci, a professional background boasting a 16-year aviation career that led him to oversee the flight operations of 2 major airlines, and a 17-year HIV+ thriver. He's dedicated himself to lead by example that Black queer individuals are inherently worthy of living safe, healthy, and abundant, thriving lives without social conditioning. Welcome, Jamaal.
Thank you, AJ. Also, to plug the Queer Yoga Club this Saturday at 11 a.m. Miami Yoga Garage. So come see us. Come see me. Now let's welcome anchor Bob Hentschel. Bob is an accountant with a local construction company and member of various GLBTQ+ Disney Facebook groups, including the Gay Gathering at Epcot Food and Wine Festival. He describes himself as a nice widow man with a house in Dania Beach, a Disney Vacation Club membership, and a self-supporting cash flow. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Jamaal. The 14th Annual Gay Gathering is next week, November 4, 5, and 6 at the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. Come join us for Snappy Hour at the Rose and Crown, starting 5:30 Friday and Saturday. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, October 27, 2022.
And we are ending Ace Week, so shout out to all the aces out there. We begin by queering up South Florida and Florida. Florida man sues son's school for violating his natural rights from God by displaying pride flags. A Florida father is suing his 12-year-old son's school district over the fact that his son was exposed to pride flags in his computer science classroom. Dr. Francisco Catalin Delu of Palm Beach County is arguing that Emerald Cove Middle School principal Dr. Eugenia Smith Freeman and his son's teacher, Rachel Rios, have been expressly and or implicitly advocating for homosexuality as an alternative way of life. Deliu, a Romanian refugee who fled due to religious and political persecution, is an Orthodox Christian who believes being gay is a sin. The lawsuit says that in early September, Deliu's son informed him that Rios had hung 2 pride flags in her classroom, searched online about homosexual lifestyles, and proselytized to the students in the class. Delu claims that the principal dismissed him when he complained and said she'd have to speak to the board to determine whether Rouse was breaking the law. He also claims that after asking for his son to be removed from Rouse's class and placed in a different computer science class, the school instead moved his son to an art class without telling him. The suit reportedly does not accuse the school of breaking Florida's infamous Don't Say Gay law. It argues that the school violated Delu's, quote, substantive human rights and natural rights from God, end quote. I find it interesting that somebody who fled a country for religious persecution is trying to force his religious views on everyone in the class. I'm fine with him not agreeing with the teacher's stance. That's his right. He could complain about it, but suing for denying his students rights from God, that's not what this is about. God doesn't give you the right to not see a rainbow. God created the rainbow. Hello. So, yeah.
I went so many different ways with this story. First off, bitch needs to take the plank out of his eye, and those who are in religion will understand that reference. But, you know, we do talk about First Amendment and freedom of religion, but in my mind, if there is freedom of religion, there also needs to be freedom from religion.
Well, and what about separation of church and state, too?
Right. I also want to know if he lives under a damn rock. Because a pride flag, come on, and you're suing the school. Do you not take the plane? Do you not take the train? Do you not go into a bank where the pride flag now is flying everywhere due to corporations' inclusivity and diversity? So where do you live, boo?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, because clearly we are in 2022 and there is just so much more enlightenment and insight on our community. It's like, where have you been? And it sounds like he is raising his child based off of his own fears. And because I'm thinking, why did his son feel that was necessary to report back to his father? So it suggests that there is something going on in how he is parenting.
Unless his son is genuinely curious and has other news for his father.
Exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. Well, now let's queer up politics. History is made as for the first time, LGBTQ plus candidates are on the ballot in all 50 states. According to a news report by the LGBTQ Victory Fund, there will be at least 678 LGBTQ plus candidates on the ballot for the general election in November, an increase of 18% from 574 in 2020. This is partially due to an increase in the proportion of LGBTQ plus candidates tracked by the organization who won their primaries earlier this year, at 64% compared to 57% in 2020. The proportion of LGBTQ plus candidates who are people of color also increased this year. While people of color accounted for 31% of LGBTQ plus candidates in 2020 and 29% in 2018, 38% of LGBTQ plus candidates appearing on general election ballots are people of color this year. 14% of these candidates are Black and 13% are Latinx. Meanwhile, the proportion of candidates running for office who are not cisgender has hit an all-time high, representing 14% of LGBTQ plus candidates this year, compared to 8% in 2020. The vast majority of these candidates are Democrats or leftists. The increase in LGBTQ plus candidates comes amid a surge of attacks on LGBTQ plus people. Far-right politicians have proposed hundreds of anti-LGBTQ+ bills this year, seeking to bar trans children from participating in school sports, censor books about LGBTQ+ characters, and more. And so this is interesting to me that, again, here we are in 2022, where we are at a time where there's a purpose that a lot of insight and writers and directors of shows are showcasing who we are. Because the honesty is that we are the representation of a lot of things in America, and we belong here just as much. And I'm glad to see that we have more people stepping up and saying, we don't care what you think. We're here and we've always been here.
Well, and here in South Florida, we're lucky we have several LGBTQ political candidates who ran the primaries and some who made it to the generals, like Chevron Jones. We had Todd Del May, Elijah Manley. Like, there's some great candidates here in South Florida who are part of the community and understand. And it's good to see that all 50 states are starting to show that.
So when I read this story, the first thing I thought about, and I'm going to say something that several people have said different ways, but, you know, the bottom line is, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Right.
And Richards has said it. Elizabeth Warren has, any number of people have said it. And I can't speak for you all, but I listen to Stephanie Miller via podcast. Stephanie Miller is a lesbian radio broadcaster with a nationwide audience. I'm not going to go there. Just certain things you hear over and over just repeat in your head, but she has played audio clips of these Rufus T. Cornpone politicians in the South talking about putting us into camps or putting us into islands. And, you know, the minute they put it, you know, we've got to be at the table, because if we end up in camps, the next thing is firing squads and gas chambers. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And if you think they won't do that, I'll remind you, over 83,000 died of AIDS before the alleged Saint Ronnie Reagan ever said the word.
Yeah, and there's still anything past the government.
I mean, people often forget or don't know about it. In the U.S., during the World War, after Pearl Harbor, they created Japanese internment camps, and everybody of Japanese descent was put into these prisoner camps, whether or not they had anything to do with Japan. Like, they were put there. And some people are just looking to do that again to other marginalized communities. And it's ridiculous and terrifying.
Mark my words, okay? Pete Buttigieg, first gay president. I said it here.
Well, let's go ahead and queer up the USA view. Warning for Texas, study suggests a fifth of the Texas electorate could be LGBTQ+ by 2040. Governor Greg Abbott ordered Texas agencies to investigate the parents of transgender kids for child abuse if they pursue gender-affirming care earlier this year. Last year, he signed into law a measure that forces public school students to play on sports teams based on their assigned sex at birth. However, as per a report from the Human Rights Campaign, the statistics favor the LGBTQ+ community, and the future looks brighter in Texas. As per the report, the LGBTQ+ voting population in Texas is projected to grow from little more than 1 in 10 voters today to 1 in 5 in 2040. Axios' Sophia Kai writes that the growth of the LGBTQ+ voting bloc, driven by higher LGBTQ+ identification among younger generations, could transform the electoral landscape at local, state, and federal levels. The report says that 12.3% of eligible Texas voters currently identify as LGBTQ+, and the researchers at the Human Rights Campaign Foundation and Bowling Green State University estimates this figure to reach 19.9% by 2040. The researchers also calculate that 4.8% of Texas baby boomers, 7.3% of Gen Xers, 15.5% of millennials, and 29.2% of people born in 1997 or after identify or will identify as LGBTQ+. In several consequential swing states such as Ohio and Georgia, the proportion of LGBTQ+ voters will almost double between 2020 and 2040. So I read that members of Generation Z and the younger generations, about 20% identify with the LGBTQ plus community. This statistic is saying almost 30%. So no wonder the voice is being heard. People are being exposed with TikTok to people with different lifestyles who dress their own way. And it's showing in even places like Texas was exciting. It's this movement towards being yourself, and it's only going to get bigger as we continue on.
I agree. It's like there's like a certain laws and principles that I believe guide what happens. And there has been so much resistance for I can say my age and speak from my own experience, but there's always been resistance to our community. And the more resistance that's been out there, it is literally our time to help the universe transition into a more free, loving, authentic state.
Well, like as an elder millennial, I was born in 1981. I grew up in the MTV culture where you saw these artists, David Bowie and Pete Burns, who blurred the lines of gender expression. It didn't make me gay, but it made me realize it was okay to be myself. And kids these days are seeing that more and more, and they're seeing that representation. And it's not that there are more gay people, it's that there are more people comfortable with saying they're maybe not gay, but they're not straight. They're maybe not transgender, but they're not cisgender. There's a lot of people who are identifying as non-binary, gender fluid, sexually fluid, which is part of the LGBTQ spectrum. And that is what this really is. It's not turning people gay. It's not chemicals in the water. It's not anything like that. It's not the fault of TikTok. TikTok is just giving people a doorway or a window to see who they are in the life beyond what their little world has.
And people are seeing past their fears, right? Kids are seeing past their fears. This newer generation is not taking no mess at all. And so that comes as a warning to all of these politicians who are trying to these kids are going to remember. They're going to grow up. They're going to be bigger, stronger. Exactly. The electorate is going to change. The landscape is going to change. Also, your political landscape is going to change. Baby, you're going to age out. Yeah. And when you age out, baby, these babies are going to remember, and they're coming forward.
And they are, because Gen Z, all of Gen Z now is old enough to vote, pretty much. Yeah. We're moving into Generation Alpha now. And the Gen Zers have a voice, and through social media and stuff, they've learned that they can speak their words and they can use their voice, and they are not afraid to get there and vote. I'm always happy to see all these Gen Zers in their early 20s and stuff who are out there campaigning and fighting, and
and I'm glad to be able to be here to see it.
Yes, I'm so proud of these kids these days, because
Were they not the ones that took on Wall Street? Remember with the GameStop and AMC, they took on Wall Street.
They crashed Wall Street and saved this company just because they like video games. They don't care.
My favorite part is it's gonna mess with Texas. It's gonna mess with Texas.
I hope that these younger generations can inspire the older members of the community to finally express themselves and be who they want to be if they're not comfortable or feeling ashamed or feeling like they have to live a lie. I have a very good friend who says to me, who says, it's not who you have as a mentor who's an older generation. Who is your mentor who is younger than yourself? Who are you looking to for guidance who is younger than you? Because they are our future. They are our voice, and they're going to be carrying on our legacy. So what can the younger generations do to inspire us?
Well, and through the platforms like TikTok, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the Old Gays.
Yes.
I am.
They're on TikTok and YouTube. It started as a Grindr skit, but it's these 4 older guys in Palm Springs. They're all 70-something plus. Who through social media have found this great platform where they can just be their silly selves. And it's inspiring a lot of older people to come out of the closet who may have had families, even though they were closet cases. They were always gay, but they repressed it. And now they're seeing other people like themselves who are out there enjoying their life and being authentic. And it's all because of the viral sensation of social media, because of Gen Z and these kids. And it's great to see.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's clear up trans rights. Under former Trump owner and Miss USA controversy, Thai trans activist buys Miss Universe organization. A business tycoon and transgender activist in Thailand has purchased the Miss Universe organization for $20 million, her company announced Wednesday. Chakrapong and Chakrajatu Teeb, who controls JKN Global Group Public Company Ltd, is a celebrity in Thailand who has starred in reality shows and is outspoken about being a transgender woman. She helped establish a nonprofit group, Life Inspired for Transsexual Foundation, to promote trans rights. JKN said it acquired the rights to the Miss Universe pageant from IMG Worldwide LLC, sports talent and events marketing company that has held the Miss Universe organization since 2015. Former U.S. President Donald Trump was a part owner of the pageant from 1996 until IMG's purchase. JKN said it has established a subsidiary in the United States, JKN Metaverse Incorporated, to own the Miss Universe organization. The Miss Universe pageant is broadcast in 165 countries, according to IMG. In a statement, Chakrapong described the purchase as, quote, a strong strategic addition to our portfolio, end quote. A profile of Chakrapong in the Bangkok Post newspaper earlier this year said in her youth, she studied at an all-male school where she was harassed for identifying as female. After attaining financial success, she spent 40 million baht or $1 million on gender confirming surgery and other procedures, the newspaper reported. Well, we see here what happens when people come back, people grow up, you know, they turn into business tycoons. Like the report calls her a business tycoon, and she's taking over something that President Donald Trump used to own. Like, that's powerful. That is a powerful statement for transgender, for trans people all over, well, for us.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that the Miss Universe pageant is going to female ownership. Like, it always creeps me out when these old men run these. If you look at some of the videos of, you know, number 45, back when he was running it, there were many accounts that came out that he would get very handsy with contestants. And it's just, it's a way for old straight men to get off because they have all these pretty girls. When women own these things, it becomes about female empowerment. It helps give them a platform. And it's about beauty, it's about presentation, but it's about owning it, not being subjected to it.
I love that this is like a big thumb to the teeth for kind of, I alluded to like playing Queen, We Will Rock You at baseball games. You take this hyper masculine sport, this thing that draws, you know, male gaze, and, you know, Queen was a gay man, Freddie Mercury. You take this beautiful, gorgeous trans business tycoon who now owns Miss America, and it's kind of like a big fuck you to every straight man who's going to be watching. And I don't know, maybe we'll see some blurred lines as far as contestants go in the future. Maybe they'll feature some more trans contestants. It'll be exciting to see.
There was a trans contestant last year who competed from South America. I don't remember which country, possibly Colombia. She was gorgeous. She went in there, and some of the competitors had to, like, it was an issue with her competing in the global organization because the policy wasn't allowing for it at first, and they changed policies. Yeah, we're going to see a lot more women of all types, I think, and that's a good thing.
Let's queer up the worldview. UK Equality Minister Kemi Badenock attacks Pink News in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, what is the Secretary of State's response to the allegations made yesterday following her appointment by Ben Cohen of Pink News?
Mr. Speaker, if I may, I know everyone wants to start PMQs very quickly, so please forgive me if my answer is a tad longer than it ordinarily would be. I'm afraid that this particular individual is someone who uses Twitter as a tool for defamation. He has even sued people in this House, like the Honourable Member for Edinburgh West. And I think he's been sued by, pardon me, the Honourable Member for Edinburgh West. What I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, as we do begin a new era of equalities, is that the Equality Act is a shield, not a sword. It is there to protect people of all characteristics, whether they're young or old, male or female, black or white, gay or straight. We are running a compassionate equality strategy, and we should not be distracted by people who use Twitter as a way to insult or accuse members of Parliament.
The United Kingdom's Equality Minister, Kemi Badenock, used her first appearance in Parliament in the role to criticize the CEO of Pink News, an LGBTQ+ magazine. after Benjamin Cohen said Ms. Badenock's appointment was one, quote, many LGBTQ plus campaigners feared, end quote. The minister accused him of wanting to insult or accuse her and claimed that he sued the Liberal Democrat MP for Edinburgh West, Christine Jardine. Mr. Cohen said he was disappointed at Ms. Badenock spreading misinformation and untruths and requested an apology. Pink News has been highly critical of Ms. Badenock's record on LGBTQ plus rights, describing her in an article about her appointment as vehemently anti-trans. Ms. Badenock was asked to respond, quote, to the allegations made yesterday following her appointment by Benjamin Cohen of Pink News, end quote, during an appearance in the Commons on Wednesday. She did not address any of the specific points, but said, quote, what I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, as we do begin a new era of equality, is that the Equality Act is a shield, not a sword. It is there to protect all people of all characteristics, whether they're young or old, male or female, black or white, gay or straight, end quote. Approached by the Independent on why Ms. Badenock made the claim, the Government Equalities Office said Ms. Badenock had intended to refer to a different MP. However, Pink News also disputed this account. Do we have another J.K. Rowling on our hands?
And I don't even think it's necessarily as bad as that. Pink News is, I won't say tabloid, but they do like to embellish. And not everyone puts up with that. And I think it's just a personal spat. But when a personal spat comes from a major leading media source and someone who's helping run the government, things get messy for everyone. Mm-hmm. I don't have all the details on this, so I can't say who's in the right, who's in the wrong. Yeah. Anything else?
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
Hi, I'm Mark Martirana, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
I love Mark, and his husband Don is running for Wilton Manor's City Commission, so if you live nearby, check them out. We finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up education. From LGBTQ Plus news partner Them and writer James Factora. Rather than recognize its student-led LGBTQ plus club, Yeshiva University started its own. Yeshiva University shared the news of the establishment of the Kol Yisrael Arevim Club on Monday, whose name roughly translates to all responsible for each other. In a press release, it said that the club had been approved by the school and seeks to unite, quote, Yeshiva's principles and its students' interest for a club under traditional Orthodox auspices, end quote. As per the press release, the club will provide students with space to grow in their personal journeys and navigate the formidable challenges they face in living a fully committed, uncompromisingly authentic, Halaic life within Orthodox communities. It also talked about improving the climate for LGBTQ plus students, including sensitivity training, anti-harassment, bullying, discrimination policies, and more. Read more at them.us.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. From LGBTQ+ news partner Out and writer Bernardo Sim. TV show X-Rated NYC is doing so well. It is renewed for 2 more seasons and a LA spinoff.
I do porn.
I am porn's most famous twink.
I'm a porn star. I love it all.
You want to go somewhere private?
Moving to New York has been wild.
This might not end well. You're queer, right?
I want to talk to you.
Not right now, bro.
There are literally twinks flying through the air, being carried out of the bar.
Hold up.
Both of you are selfish.
Are you having fun? Yeah.
That looks juicy. So the first season of X-Rated NYC followed the lives of adult entertainment actors Boomer Banks, Joy Mills, Max Connor, and Dante Call, all of whom are very well known for their work in gay porn. Produced by Daddy TV and streaming on Out TV, this LGBTQ+ reality show has now been renewed for 2 more seasons. The franchise is also being expanded with a brand new spinoff, X-Rated LA. This new LA-based show will follow the same format as the original NYC series. Daddy TV co-founder Topher Consumano said, Daddy TV is thrilled to continue our partnership with Out TV to create unique sex-positive content for queer audiences. The viewer response to X-Rated has been incredible, and we can't wait to showcase even more adult superstars in a whole new light. End of that quote. Read more at out.com.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. From LGBTQ+ news partner LGBTQ Nation and writer Greg Owen. Neo-Nazis forced Halloween drag queen story hour to cancel with threats. Amid rising tensions around the midterm elections in 2 weeks, organizers of a drag queen story hour in Florida have pulled the plug on an event threatened by neo-Nazi hate groups. The LGBTQ+ Center in Orlando posted to their Facebook page yesterday, saying it takes these threats seriously and would not want to risk or expose children and their families to bigotry and hate. The event was featured popular local drag artist Bridget Galore and was supported in part by a grant from the City of Orlando Mayor's Matching Grant Program. 75 children and parents had already bought tickets to the event scheduled for Saturday. Read more at lgbtqnation.com.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your family and friends.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That's the passion of Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, David Hopkins, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Nik Nak London, AJ Stone, Jamaal L. Starks, and Bob Hentschel. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. But before we end our show, we have one final story.
Let's queer up the big interview. Here are all the details on Queer Magic Mike Live Miami. Recently, Queer News Tonight interviewed Bruce Robert Harris. He is a Tony Award-winning Broadway and West End producer from New York City and a producer of our own South Florida Magic Mike Live, the multi-year national tour that starts here in South Florida.
Interview this evening, and that's because of Scott Holland's article in Hotspots magazine for Magic Mike Live, and it's a really interesting, super interesting concept. especially for the South Florida LGBTQ community. And we're going to explore this. Tonight, we're joined by Bruce Robert Harris. He's a Tony Award-winning Broadway and West End producer from New York City and a producer of South Florida's Magic Mike Live. It is a multi-year national tour that's going to go to as many as 10 cities. And yes, you've guessed it, it starts right here in Miami and South Florida. We make the note that Magic Mike Live's North America tour starts in Miami, and it's going to be a 6-month limited engagement that runs through April. The venue is very interesting in that the tour performs in a custom-built tent at Marine Stadium site at Key Biscayne. And the venue is 2 stories with just over 600 seats and is outfitted with the latest technologies and decorated with every last detail, hand-selected by Channing Tatum and the creative team behind the show. The show features some of the most talented dancers, aerialists, and musicians, performing expert choreography and specialty acts in every possible space in front of, above, and all around the audience. And we're going to tell you all about tickets in a moment. Bruce Robert Harris, welcome to Queer News Tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is really an exciting concept. I don't get to talk to people in South Florida that commit to a project of this size. Of course, we think of Cirque du Soleil, and there's no gay man, there's no LGBT person in my voice across the country, and especially here in South Florida, that has not heard of Magic Mike and
or Channing,
and who doesn't love Channing Tatum. I was just telling production I have just today come from Tampa, and last night I was in Ybor City and went to the club that Channing Tatum originally danced at. And from Tampa Bay, I know all of the sites, that sandbar off of St. Pete Beach.
Yeah.
I know much of the details, having watched Magic Mike, 112, 114 times, something like that.
I like hearing that.
Yes, exactly. It is really exciting. I have to show for my friend Scott Holland. It's on stands right now, this very interesting interview with you and the production of the show in Hotspots. Tell us a little bit about what's happening here in this show that's going to have this limited engagement for 6 months here in South Florida. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, we're trying to bring the market to us at Key Biscayne. The stadium and the theater is so unique. It's a 360-degree experience. Channing had this idea, taking some of the dance moves from these movies and incorporating that with the talent of these boys. These boys are absolutely beautiful. They're from all over the world. And it's a leitmotif of what the movies are, with the safe word being unicorn, for women that are in the theater. And it gives women a feeling of empowerment where they can actually enjoy this and probably get a lap dance or 2 or 3. The boys are really quite efficient, beautiful dancers, as you said, in aerial acts. There's one boy in particular I have to point out. He can spin on his head more than 40 times in the old-fashioned kind of dance that Channing started in these movies. And with one little move of the body, he's actually choreographed and directed an entire show. And he got us all to buy into it and raise money for it and produce it.
So what's first, right out of the gate, Magic Mike Live. This is first city. South Florida is getting it first. You're going to do it in this limited engagement for 6 months, and then you're going to take it to 10 other cities.
10 or more.
10 or more.
We have a 6 or 7 year tour planned.
Yeah,
for them.
And I want to start with this facility. A lot of people who haven't been to some of the national shows that Cirque du Soleil has done, or some of the other circus, high energy circus shows have done, they probably haven't been in a venue tent like this. And when we say tent, nothing like this in terms of thinking about a tent. Tell us a little bit about the venue itself.
The venue is quite incredible because Skull and Bones has a restaurant there that's a very high-end, very rated restaurant where you can have a dinner experience. We have VIP packages which include hotel and a boat ride around Miami that stops at the pier right across the street from the Marine Terminal. They can dine in the theater and then meet the cast in a special VIP room, which is created for each and every city that we go. And in this particular case for South Florida, we had a few artists come in and build this so it's very reflective of the area. People felt very comfortable that last night, and we turned the entire room into a pink carpet so that people could take pictures and meet the cast. So not only is it a restaurant, and there are multiple bars throughout the entire venue. All the women and men who come, they drink, they have a wonderful time, and then they can come and have dinner. So it's really kind of an experience. We have free parking, people that are driving out, so I need to mention that. We've done a beautiful job resurfacing everything outside, so it's very easy and convenient for everybody to get to.
And you know what's interesting about this is it allows you to solve all the problems that if you were in a hardened venue facility, it solves every problem. It gives you the space that you want for a show like this. It gives you the food, it gives you the entertainment, it gives you the flexibility to have done exactly what you would want to do for Magic Mike Live. It reminds me of the intent of Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas.
That's right.
Where you have a dedicated venue at one of the hotels, and you've taken that concept on steroids for Miami and South Florida.
This tent came from Australia, from our Australian production. We had a sit-down production in London, which is at the Hippodrome Theatre in London, in which I'm a producer. In Berlin, we had a sit-down venue, and this tent came from Australia, and this is what's going to travel around the United States, and we're looking at Mexico and Canada, and just everywhere in North America, in this area where we can truck this. And it really comes together like a jigsaw puzzle, and we take it apart and we put it together in the next city.
Bruce, let's talk about the show itself. First off, I know you're a New Yorker. I know you're a gay man. You identify. I have read so much of what Channing Tatum has said in embracement of the LGBTQ community, especially gay men in communities, an incredible advocate for our community. I know a lot of gay men that are listening to you right now and this show, they might be a little intimidated in thinking this show is designed for straight women. That's not true. It's designed for everybody.
It's designed for everyone. I will tell you that I had a lot of guests last night, and
You're in previews right now.
Yes, we were in previews, and we opened just last night.
Right.
And I had a lot of guests see the show, and I specifically invited gay men, and I wanted to hear what they had to say. There is no question this helps women. This gives female empowerment. Our lead woman is a very Zoftic, beautiful woman who talks a lot about tits and clits. But at the end of the day, it is to give everybody the sense of what these men can do, the talent for these men. And I'll tell you, all of my guests had an amazing time. We get men in the audience all the time. We get them in Vegas, we get them in London, and they come back constantly, and they come back in groups. I don't know that specifically a whole house would be men, but I do know that we do get a great deal of them, and they come back time and time again. I do. I love it. It's one of the reasons I produced it.
Well, Bruce, I don't need to tell you, being a New Yorker, New York gay community vacations in South Florida.
Absolutely.
So we're living in one of the largest LGBTQ communities in the country. So I suspect over this next 6 months, you're going to see tens of thousands of gay
I would
men
love that.
come to Magic Mike Live. Tell us a little bit about Channing Tatum's imagination here. I mean, putting his thumbprint on this, wanting to develop a live version of the two movies, right?
Well, I have to tell you also, the third movie is about to be announced. It's a bit of a secret. Steven Soderbergh is directing the movie. Channing is this will be the final third movie, and it will be filmed in this tent very shortly, and it'll be
in Key Biscayne.
Yes, and it'll be included in the movie.
You're breaking news.
I'm breaking news.
Yeah.
And it will be filmed in the tent, and it will all tie the brand together. We also have Finding Magic Mike, which is a television show, which was a reality show, and the winner went into the Vegas company, and we'll be bringing that back as well on HBO. So there's just a lot of excitement around the brand. Channing's idea was to take talented men who have very different talents. We have a drummer, We have someone who dances in water. We have somebody who plays the piano. We have beautiful singing voices from as far as South Africa who are actually performing in the show. The audition process is quite stringent for the show. The boys really have to dance, but he uses the talent and he threads the entire show together so that young Magic Mike learns how to be a stripper from all the other strippers and all the scenes of this particular show, with a female protagonist that allows the audience to feel comfortable and at ease, use their secret word, which is unicorn. We have a unicorn at the end of the show, and they come in droves. What I love most about the show is when you leave the show, everybody's at the box office buying tickets for a show in the future. They put a group together and then they come back and see it again.
Yeah, I imagine it is great for group parties.
Oh, yes.
Come and do
Oh,
this
yes.
with the food and the beverage all wrapped in together. You know,
It'd be nice to have gay bachelor
yeah,
parties.
well, and we don't even need the bachelor.
No, we
don't
don't.
need the excuse of that. Just gay parties
That's very true.
is enough. You know, another thing that is interesting to me about this conceptual idea is I've been an invited guest to almost all of the big stripper shows in Las Vegas. It's interesting to me on what you're designing here, that this is more of a artistic drama push of a stripper show. Among my favorites in Las Vegas is Thunder Down Under. I'm infatuated with Australians, and it's a very, very good show, but they don't try to weave a story.
No.
It is what it is. Do you think that is because of the drama and the acting interest that Channing Tatum has, that he wanted to build something a bit more for this program?
Channing had an idea, and the idea was to make women feel comfortable and not just be a salacious strip show. He wanted to use the talents of all these boys. And these numbers, when you watch them, they're unlike anything you've seen. Thunder Down Under, Chippendales, they're half the quality of what we have. It's very high powered. We have a keynote tent that has lights, water, sound, fog, mapping, all kinds of interesting, intriguing things that draws the audience in. It's not just a stripper show collecting dollars. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is entertain and allow these women and men to enjoy themselves like they've never been able to do before. It's a lot more than the movies. This is a long show. It's 90 minutes. And I don't want it ever to end when I watch it, and I think the audience feels the same way when they watch that.
Being a producer, it's probably 25 degrees in Manhattan this morning.
No, I'm glad I'm in South Florida.
Right? You're here for 6 months at least for the show. The timing in terms of you being producer of this show couldn't be any better in terms of enjoying it.
Well, I have to say we sort of plan it that way. We're on a tent. We build all the grounds, and every 6 months we move to another city where we have the tempered temperature so that people can be outside and enjoy the full facility that we build, that we truck in. So as we go to the next city, we'll be looking at that temperature so that those people will come out and enjoy it. You want to park, you want to walk into the venue, you want to go to dinner, you want the VIP experience. It makes it much more comfortable. Not like the other day when it was pouring rain here. That was on a preview, and that was very difficult for people to get in. But that doesn't happen often here, so we always have sunshine.
Especially in the winter. And for national and international audience that is watching you now, tell us about some of the other cities that are planned.
We haven't announced that yet,
okay.
and I'm unable to announce all those different cities. I know it's on everybody's minds, but it'll be coming to major cities. We're not going as far as Las Vegas, because we already have a sit-down show in Vegas, so we'll be staying on this side of the country for now. And there'll be 24.5 to 6 month engagements for the show.
And as producer of Magic Mike Live, I know in New York you've been part of Gay Fest NYC, and you've worked with the Pines Party, legendary event. How was your experience of working in LGBT, being a gay man, and your work in New York? How has those experiences helped bring you to Magic Mike Live?
As a producer, any producer, this is all about a relationship business. This is all about relationships with investors. And when I produced gay thematic material for Gay Fest NYC, we always had a charity. and our charity was the Harvey Milk High School and the Hedrick Martin Institute. And we were able to help with education, mentoring, and scholarships. People that supported a lot of my shows in the past on Broadway or in London have all really seen this brand and understand what this brand can return. And I think it's a responsibility of a commercial producer to do commercial projects. You can do things for love. I've done a lot of things for love, and I've done things for the creative process. But in this particular case, when I was brought onto this project, I saw what the potential was. And to be honest, I've raised a lot of money for the show. I have a lot of people that have flown down for the show, and I think they feel the same way. It's wonderful to produce on Broadway, but Broadway has a lot of healing. We have a lot of things that we've gone through in New York. Our theaters are tight. We're rebuilding some of those theaters in New York. And currently there are only half of those theaters that are filled. I think this tent experience, this keynote tent experience, will make people feel very comfortable. And I think they'll have a wonderful time doing it.
Let's kind of recap before I let you go on Magic Mike Live. First, Channing Tatum. I don't know. Did I mention Channing Tatum?
We need to keep mentioning him.
I'm not sure I mentioned Channing Tatum. We can't wait for him to come into South Florida and talk about this and the new movie that is coming that's using the Key Biscayne site. So you have all of the advantages in terms of having a long-term venue footprint of this very deluxe tent experience. If you haven't been in a facility like this, the word venue doesn't cut it. The word tent certainly doesn't cut it. This is a very special facility that's custom built for this experience. You go to the tent, you have strippers. We've been showing some of the pictures. We know that we're going to have beautiful men, but you add the drama of your production eye and Channing Tatum's desire to elevate this to the next level out of a Chippendales show. And then you have this facility that does mapping in terms of laser lights and water and fogging and all of the 360 around in the theater. I can't recall anything ever being done like this before. I'm literally all of the things that I've seen in Las Vegas, I don't think I've ever recalled seeing something like this.
This is a 360-degree immersive show that you will come back and see and not sit in the same seat. You'll sit in another seat, you'll see a whole different show. It's interesting, a lot of people last night said to me, how many people are in the show? There's so many boys in the show. And the way the show is directed and choreographed, it constantly builds throughout the night. And it's one of those shows you don't want to end, and it's one of those shows you're going to want to come back and see.
I can't remember the last time I went to a show where I said, gosh, there were just too many boys in that show. I can't remember
and
that.
boys not wearing too much clothing.
Yes, exactly right.
I'll let South Florida know that this is a much more risque production than we've done in London, and much, much bigger than we've done in Las Vegas. Those venues were smaller. This show is a little bit longer. And I believe the Latino community and the Spanish community are going to find some specialty things put in the show, especially for them. Yeah. We wanted to speak to everybody down here, and we wanted it to be a success.
For gay men in South Florida, this sounds like the epitome of cat milk to me.
Good, that's good.
I'm sure you're going to have, it's going to be so difficult to fill this house. Tell us and tell everybody how we get tickets.
You're going to get tickets if you go to magicmikelive.com. We have ticket brokers through many different websites, which we can flash on the screen. We're here through April, but I would tell you that VIP experiences are selling quite well, and everybody's going to want to meet these dancers, and we're going to get them out in the press. We're very happy to have a couple of our dancers featured in Hot Spots this week.
Yeah, I'm holding that up again. Scott Holland's article here. It's on stands now at Hot Spots magazine. Very excellent article.
Come in groups, come in couples, come and enjoy it. It's just one of those things. It's quite unique, and I think people, especially gay people that travel all over the country to do circuit events, will probably start traveling and following us in each city that we go in. There'll be very specific things that we do in each city. And it's going to be very exciting. I love the brand, and I've been in all of the shows so far as a producer.
Excellent. And of course, National for LGBTQ Community Thanksgiving weekend, we have Urge coming. And in March, of course, the National Task Force Winter Party Festival.
And I'll be back down here for that.
Yeah, excellent. So much happening this winter. And above everything else, I just have to say thank you very much, and please pass our congratulations on to Channing Tatum. It's a reflection of launching Magic Mike Live in this way. You're launching it in the absolute perfect place on this planet, South Florida, in terms of travelers, international travelers, cruise ship traffic. And, oh, by the way, there's a lot of gay men here. So I know they're going to love it. So, and it's mmltour.com?
Magic Mike Live.
MagicMikeLive.com. Make sure you go to their website and read the information and get your tickets. I cannot wait to come to see it. I'm sure there is no person that is listening to your voice right now that goes, I'm not going to that show. So congratulations.
It's better than the movies, I think.
Channing? Channing. All right, real good. Bruce Robert Harris from Magic Mike Live, thank you for being with us at Queer News Tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Talk